Hello everyone, welcome to Reviews, Views, and Everything Else. Today I want to talk about something I stumbled upon probably about a year ago, and it's about the Nesara Gesara law that was signed into effect supposedly in March of 2000. So I'm going to read this piece that I found on wethepeople1787.com to set our basis up, and then I probably will do future videos as we kind of break this down. I think President Trump currently is working towards this goal. But let's read this article together and we'll go from there. It says Nesara is the Covert National Economic Security and Reformation Act dated March/October 2000. Notice that the S stands for security, not for stability. S is for stability. S for stability is a bait and switch mirror fraud. Nesara is an American legal initiative with radical and benevolent global consequences. On a global level, this is known to approximately 209 countries, governments as Gesara. The G is for global. There will be a return to the gold standard and asset-backed currency, digital and paper worldwide. Fiat money has not worked, and the financial system has been in a state of controlled collapse for a few years. The Nesara Global Prosperity Programs are on the cusp of being announced and activated. One of the protected funds said to be involved is called the Saint Germain World Trust. This fund contains deliverable precious metals and currencies worth upwards of $1 quadrillion US dollars. The word quadrillion is sometimes spelled quattrodecillion. It means 10,000, $1,000 million, or $1 with 40 zeros behind it. The 10 quadrillion dollars, among other projects, this money will be used to buy out all oil corporations, banks, and pharmaceutical cartels, and it will zero out, permanently cancel all personal, corporate, and national debts worldwide. More about universal debt forgiveness and the imminent gold debt jubilee can be found here. The Saint Germain World Trust resources are additional to and separate from the World Global Settlement Funds and the global collateral accounts worth approximately $800 trillion. The Nesara money was originally scheduled to be released in the year 2000, but the Bush White House and its banking and legal conspirators worldwide prevented the disbursement, and through corporate pan-global control of mainstream media outlets, nearly all knowledge of Nesara's existence was suppressed. This is now changing. When the Nesara Global Prosperity Programs are openly and publicly announced during March or April 2017, which it was not, this will permanently change human civilization in every money-related way. Yes, delays have occurred since March and April have come and gone. However, much is being accomplished behind the scenes that cannot yet be exposed openly. Alright, then it says, note to readers, future history is developing fast now. Most of this development is not being explicitly reported with appropriate emphasis in the Western mainstream media. We are maintaining a dated compilation of links to geopolitically significant commentary at the foot of our future historians. The whole human population will benefit from Nesara. Earth is a most abundant planet. There is more than enough gold-backed human money currently in existence on Earth for each and every human to be called a GBP billionaire without debts of any kind. GBP equals Great Britain pound. Nesara is about sharing the resources of the planet around fairly, and Nesara is about putting benevolent banking systems in place worldwide to deliver this money fairness. No individuals anywhere on Earth will be beyond the reach of Nesara wealth redistribution programs, and no individual or organization anywhere on Earth will be able to stop it. Nesara will cancel all credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government corruption worldwide. Income tax will be abolished. A new 14% to perhaps 18% flat rate tax on non-essential new items will provide the revenue stream for national governments. There will be increased benefits for senior citizens. In the U.S., there will be a return to constitutional law at every level of the legal system. When Nesara announcements are made, the U.S. President and the Vice President and all the officials in their administrations will be removed from office with immediate effect. So will members of the U.S. Congress and their Gesara Zionist bosses. They will be replaced with constitutionally acceptable Nesara President and Vice President designates, possibly including people such as Joseph Francis Dunford, Ron Paul, Dennis Kucinich, Timothy J. Holton, Paul Craig Roberts, or retired Pentagon white hats such as Michael T. Flynn or Carter F. Ham. Donald Trump may be allowed a temporary role in publicly exposing the machinations of the Bush Syndicate and the Clinton Foundation, and in releasing details about the Satanist disinformation nexus connecting the U.S. mainstream media and PSYOP cells within the U.S. intelligence services. There will be new president and congressional elections within 120 days of Nesara's announcements. These elections will be carefully monitored to prevent theft, hacking, and other illegal elections by special interest groups or covert syndicates. A new U.S. Treasury rainbow currency will come into being backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals. A new U.S. Treasury bank systems will be initiated in alignment with constitutional law. The Federal Reserve Board system will be abolished. Personal financial privacy will be restored. All judges and attorneys will be retrained in constitutional law. All aggressive USA government military actions worldwide will cease, and we are seeing this, starting to see this now, and global peace will be established. Every American citizen over the age of 21 will receive $100,000 a month for 11 years, but the farmers' claims will be paid first, and we're seeing this now too. Here the settlements will include debt forgiveness of $300,000, including mortgages, credit cards, and loans, for each farming family. Similar reforms will take place in every country in the world. Enormous sums of money will be made available for humanitarian purposes. New hitherto suppressed technologies such as free energy devices, pollution cleanup equipment, and sonic healing machines will be released for use of all. More about the quantum healing computer technology can be found here. Okay. By the first half of 2016, it was apparent that the precise term Nesara might not be used, initially at least, to publicly describe the global package of prosperity, humanitarian, infrastructure, and currency refinancing which had become necessary. With over a decade and a half having passed since the year 2000, and with the corrupt deterioration of most aspects of life in the Western world having reached such visible degradation, the Nesara aspects of the necessary reforms would need to be folded into, i.e. added to, a number of other financial and organizational rescue initiatives in which Asia and the BRICS, Great Britain, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and Brazil, would take the lead. Known as the BRICS nations. Further underground details linked about the Nesara Global Prosperity Programs and their history can be found further down this page, and from James Rank, the Patrick Bellringer, and from Mark Clark. There is useful compilation of Nesara links and material at detailshere.com, and a recent clone-related Nesara article can be found here. And some of these links are no longer working, but we will delve more into this website and find more information. Some historical information about U.S. White House corruption, which intersects with America's blocking of the global Nesara reforms, can be found on other pages of this site. When posted, Citibank scandal, Bush White House begins to disintegrate, the crucifixion of Chief Justice John Glover Roberts. Nesara influence behind the scene events began to gather pace in the closing days of October 2008. The world focused on political and financial corruption moved from the U.S. to Europe. 8 senior management personnel were arrested in Deutsche Bank, Germany. A cell of linked conspirators was arrested at the same time in London. On the afternoon of Wednesday, 29th October 2008, President George Bush Jr. and his key White House staff were informed that the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair had changed sides in the global crime nexus. Blair had divulged everything to the international investigating authorities. He had been confronted with unequivocal evidence of his own corrupt involvement in geopolitical affairs and had decided to come clean in an attempt to avoid personal arrest and life imprisonment. In particular, Blair gave the authorities details of covert international money laundering accounts, including those at Deutsche Bank and the Vatican Bank, and in other banking hideaways in Switzerland, Hungary, Abu Dhabi, the British Virgin Islands, and Malaysia. He made plain the criminal and treasonous roles played in the manipulation of these accounts by the Pope, the Bush White House, the Bush family, the Clintons, Angela Merkel, Alan Greenspan, and many others. With Chinese, is it Meghan's last name Markle? Oh, it's Merkel. Okay. With Chinese and European support, the President of the European Union, Nicolas Sarkozy of France, threatened the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, with arrest if she did not cease and desist in her criminal interventions and business security procedure at Deutsche Bank. Merkel had authorized upwards of 20 separate illegal wire transfers out of Deutsche Bank into concealed bank accounts controlled by the Vatican in Rome. One of these accounts is called the Francis X. Driscoll Trust. The funds involved were covertly stolen from U.S. and French Treasury accounts. Merkel orchestrated illegal wire transfers out of Deutsche Bank, made a visible impression on the country's Q3 figures published on Thursday, October 30th, 2008. Deutsche Bank's Tier 1 capital ratio of its own funds to total assets rose to 10.3% from 9.3%. Much of this change was due to the large capital outflows of other people's stolen money from the Deutsche Bank to the Vatican-controlled accounts at other banks in Italy and elsewhere. It was carefully timed massaging of the Q3 results. So was Deutsche Bank's adaptation of the value of certain toxic assets in accordance with a shift to international accounting standards decided by European Union authorities in mid-October. Rules easing requirements for making down investments were used to reduce Deutsche Bank's write-downs for the quarter by $845 million to $1.2 billion. And I'm not sure what that little symbol right here is. If that's the pound symbol, I'm not sure. Without this creative accounting, the bank would have posted a third quarter loss. Roman Catholic wire transfers, Roman Catholic wire transfers out, and the accountancy message meant that hedge fund managers were surprised at Deutsche Bank's quarter 3 numbers and that the resultant spike of its share price on major stock markets. Previous to the October 30th, 2008 analysis worldwide had predicted a substantial third quarter loss at Deutsche Bank, and their clients had taken future positions accordingly. Deutsche Bank serves as the money laundering arm of the secret German Black Ops, an intelligence organization called the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst (DVD), based at Dachau. Through Deutsche Bank, the DVD finances mind control programs used to subvert and control British interests within the UK police, banking sector, industry, and government. This subversion program is called Common Purpose and is run from the office of the Deputy Prime Minister in the Cabinet Office, Whitehall, London. The Vatican has been centrally involved in many of the behind-the-scenes machinations involved in the 2000-2008 global financial collapse and in the blocking of the Nesara-related international prosperity settlements. In April 2008, Joseph Ratzinger, Pope Benedict XVI, failed in an attempt to lay claim to a large tranche of the Nesara prosperity funds. He was reported as saying to close colleagues, "The little people cannot handle this money properly, but the church can." Ratzinger's audacious money grab had to be sorted out at the World Court in The Hague and was responsible for more serious delays in implementing the global refinancing settlements. In the end, Rome was forced to climb down, and the Holy Father reluctantly agreed to a $2 trillion settlement. This sum was paid from U.S. citizens' tax receipts. President George Bush Jr. signed the papers. Speaking to one group in Washington on Thursday, April 17, 2008, the Pope said, "If the peasants think they are going to get this money, they have another think coming. It will never happen." He was not talking about the $2 trillion. He was referring to the global prosperity funds in general. Nicolas Sarkozy is being energized in his European anti-corruption work by painful recollections of his close escape from assassination on Tuesday, June 24, 2008. At an airport in Tel Aviv, Israel, a U.S.-Israeli Black Ops team bungled his murder. The hastily contrived cover story involved a fiction about Israeli border policemen committing suicide during the farewell ceremony. French intelligence later explained to Sarkozy the connection between his knowledge of what was going on at Deutsche Bank and the attempted assassination. A 51-second video clip of a television news item relating to the botched assassination attempt can be accessed online. Notice the expressions on the faces of the Israeli bodyguards around Ehud Olmert's car. You think there may have been prior knowledge? We will have to look that up later. At the end of October 2008, Sarkozy, acting in the interests of the wider European Union, threatened Chancellor Merkel from Germany with an arrest under European anti-terror legislation. Equipped with George Bush Jr.'s signature on a key document, the European president forced the pace of a high-status European criminal roundup. In addition to the illegal wire transfers, Angela Merkel was shielding the Deutsche Bank from international criminal investigators and from Basel II banking supervision procedures. Concealed at Deutsche Bank were American derivative-related papers which incriminated major political figures and financial establishments in the U.S. Angela Merkel had also been receiving bribes arranged by President George Bush Sr. for 4 years. Her job was to guard his personal European financial crime proceeds held in hidden accounts at Deutsche Bank. Nicolas Sarkozy knew this. The Bush accounts at Deutsche Bank could not furnish legitimate source of funds documentation of the kind required by the Basel II international banking reforms. European Union member governments told Nicolas Sarkozy to fix it or we'll depose of you. Mass arrests of high-end banksters in Europe, the U.S., and the rest of the world proceeded. Nesara-linked international refinancing settlements were being blocked by a treasonously corrupt Bank of England in London. and British Prime Minister Gordon Brown was told, "You will be removed if you don't deliver." Gordon Brown knew inside details of Jose Manuel Duraro Basaro's personal involvement in the abduction of 5-year-old Madeleine McCain. Brown was the McCain parents' private number on his mobile. Oh, he has the McCain's private number on his mobile. Gordon Brown and Tony Blair were named as covert intelligence agents. British intelligence, John Scarlett, head of MI6 and GO2, was said to be controlled by German intelligence. It emerged that the new British government minister Peter Mandelson, Secretary of State for Business, may have had inside European knowledge of the Barroso Madeleine McCann abduction. Mandelson's association with creditor-stressed Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska, Russell, Norilsk Nickel, Basic Element, etc., represented a prima facie conflict of interest with respect to his recently resigned role as the European Trade Commissioner in Brussels. British intelligence holds an active database on Mandelson, which is shared by MI5, MI6, and GCHQ Cheltenham. Deripaska, a Russian intelligence asset, has had recent working contacts with Izmailovo, Russia's leading mafia organization. British MI6 intelligence files indicate that Izmailovo specializes in money laundering schemes run through the controlled banks in Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Cayman Islands. It is thought that Izmailovo was also involved in the assassination of 2 prominent Jesuit priests in Russia. On Tuesday, 28th of October 2008, the mutilated bodies of Otto Mesmer, 47, and Victor Betancourt Ruiz, 42, were found in an apartment in Petrovka Street, Moscow, close to the Kremlin and Bolshoi Theater. Mesmer was the leader of the Jesuit order in Russia, and Betancourt Ruiz was from Ecuador, worked closely with him. Both had underworld contacts and were thought to be engaged in a turf war of some kind with criminal elements within the Russian Orthodox Church or their proxies. Various cover stories were rehearsed by the Roman Catholic authorities. One involved a drunk Hispanic vagrant, another had to do with an attempted theft of church property, which went wrong. On Sunday, 26th and Monday, the 27th of October 2008, telephone calls from President George Bush and his aides at the White House to the President Nicolas Sarkozy of France were repeatedly refused by the elites in Paris. This top-level Western diplomat standoff was an action unprecedented between allies in peacetime. In the background was the American refusal to release a Nesara-related loan sum of $14 trillion held in the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, locked down by major U.S. Financial custodians. This loan of $14 trillion has a source of funds documentation relating to the Crown Temple in London and to powerful financial parties in Saudi Arabia and China. Historic international developments flushed out by the escalating financial crisis were being deliberately unreported by the confused Western mainstream media or were being suppressed by government agencies. Let's see how much more of this we have. This is a very, very long article, so we will do this in a couple parts, but I do want to go over here to this article which tells what the Nesara will do. It's working on it. Okay. At the top it says a law was passed in March 2000 and signed into law in October of 2000. This law is called Nesara, National Economic Security and Reformation Act. This law provides the following. It forgives credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt to illegal banking and government activities. Abolishes income tax. It abolishes the IRS and creates a flat rate, non-essential new items only sales tax revenue for government. It increases benefits to senior citizens. It returns constitutional law, establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after Nesara's announcement, monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities or special interest groups. Let's see. Creates a new U.S. Treasury currency, rainbow currency, backed by gold, silver, platinum, precious metals. It returns constitutional law to all our courts and legal matters. It initiates new U.S. Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. It eliminates the Federal Reserve System, restores the financial privacy, retrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law, seizes all aggressive U.S. military actions worldwide, establishes peace throughout the world, initiates first phase of worldwide prosperity distribution of vast wealth which has been accumulating for many decades, releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes, and enables the release of new technologies such as energy devices. So I will end this video there, but that should give you a lot to think about. I mean, I can see Donald Trump working on a lot of these issues, and could this be why they are trying so hard to get him out of office? I will post the link to the complete Nesara article that I was reading previously in the comments, and I will do a part 2 on this perhaps tomorrow. So I hope maybe you gained a little insight into the Nesara event that I believe is in our future, and that the Black Hats are trying desperately to work against. But this is a battle against good versus evil, and good will always triumph. So again, thank you for watching, reviews, and anything else. These are my opinions, and I will chat with you next